Hey everyone, welcome to 996 The Howl for the uninitiated. This is an unedited YouTube vlog discussing everything Arizona Coyotes. Bit of a quiet week, not really, still some news regarding the Coyotes. The owner, Andrew Barroway, looking to sell for a 49% stake in the Coyotes, which is not a bad thing. Barroway took in a lot of debt to acquire the Coyotes, to take in a majority stake. So he's looking to leverage that debt and find people who want to keep the team in Arizona. I mean, a couple weeks ago, he appointed a new chairman who is so adamant about keeping the Coyotes in the desert. You know, he helps build rinks, and he supported bringing in the Tucson Roadrunners into Arizona. So that's good. He wants more people to take on more debt, obviously, but who are passionate to keep the Coyotes in the state. Also, a minor trade John Chayka made. He can't go a week without making a trade, this guy. But he trades Ryan McInnes to Columbus for a 6th round pick and Jacob Graves, who basically is a fringe AHL defenseman. So he has no chance of making the NHL. It's a weird trade because McInnes was a 2nd round pick by Don Maloney. He didn't really pan out. He didn't produce at all. Full stop. Didn't produce with the Roadrunners in the past 2 seasons. For a 2nd round pick, you expect McInnes to show more promise, and he just didn't at all. And Chayka knows he's got people coming in from the OHL and from the 2015-2016 draft who will be getting minutes on the Roadrunners. So maybe he's freeing up a center and a wing position for those new guys. And Graves is a defenseman, so maybe the Roadrunners need a depth defenseman. Up front, they have a lot of competition for the top 4D spots, but maybe 5, 6, 7 is kind of bare, so maybe that's why he brings in a veteran AHL career defenseman, but we'll see. McInnes wasn't going to pan out. It's unfortunate, a bad draft move by Don Maloney. But yeah, you could say Chayka lost that trade, but McInnes is never going to touch NHL ice. So let's move on from that. I want to make this video to discuss my thoughts on the 2018-2019 lineup for the Coyotes. It's hilarious. I mean, all these journalists are making articles on their take of the lineup, and it's so fun to see everyone's, hypothetical lineups. A lot of people have Dvorak moving to the wing, which I think is abhorrent, to be honest. It's manic to think Dvorak's going to move to the wing after playing 2 NHL seasons center. He's a shutdown centerman, and he's going to stay in that 3rd line center spot. So I'll start from the top. I'm going to keep Panik, Stepan, and Keller together. You know, the top line in the NHL lately has been funny. If you look at the Stanley Cup champions Washington Capitals, they have Scott Wilson on the top line, but they pair him with Ovechkin and Kuznetsov, I'm pretty sure. So you have Kuznetsov and then Ovechkin. So you have a great centerman in Kuznetsov and an outstanding winger in Ovechkin. And you could kind of leave that other wing spot for a grinder type guy who plays dirty, gets in the corners, wins puck battles, and creates space for those guys. I think Panik does that. Chayka brought Panik in to go to the dirty areas, to retrieve the puck, have a net front presence. He has a big body. This guy scored 22 goals before, and he had 14 goals last year. After kind of a slump when he got moved to the Coyotes, he started to pick it up. And I think Keller is a pure star winger, creates plays. He can shoot the puck really well. And then Stepan's kind of like a discount Taves. I mean, Taves is way more offensive than Stepan, but they're both two-way centermen, and they're both reliable, and they're both, you could depend on both of them. So I really like the chemistry. The last few months of the season, they built a lot of chemistry, those three. So I'll keep that line the same, but there's competition for Panik's spot, and that's going to move to the 2nd line, which I think will be Galchenyuk centering with Perlini and Strome moving to the wing. I think Galchenyuk and Strome will rotate that 2nd line center position. But Strome needs to play with good players, and Galchenyuk isn't going to play on the 3rd line. We didn't acquire him to play on the 3rd line. So I like Strome and Galchenyuk rotating that 2nd line. And then Perlini needs to play with good players. He's a pure goal scorer, amazing shot. Just feed him the puck, feed him with speed, and he'll shoot it and rifle it top corner, and he'll score his goals. You can't have Perlini on the third line. Third line, you want them to be offensive and score, but it's more of a grinding out offensive game. It's not a pure on the rush line. So if you pair Perlini with like Dvorak, maybe Grabner, that may work. But I like Fish. I like Fisher on the third line, not Perlini. I feel like Perlini needs to be a top 6 guy, and for him to produce, you need to pair him with good players. And Galchenyuk and Strome around the same age of Perlini, so that could be a really young, speedy, just sniper line. Strome's got a great shot, and so does Galchenyuk. So having 3 shooters on a line would be huge, and just internal competition between Strome and Galchenyuk, I think, will be healthy for the Coyotes. Moving on to the third line, I already mentioned it. I'd like Dvorak centering with Grabner and Fisher. Fisher to go into the dirty areas, but he hustles. He's a huge power forward. He's a Shane Doan. He's the next Shane Doan. Maybe not in terms of leadership, but in terms of his hockey play and his hockey mannerisms. I love Fisher. He's got some sneaky speed too, but that seems like a great defensive line. Grabner's great on the penalty kill, so he's defensively minded too, and he's got breakaway speed. And Dvorak's two-way minded, and so I think that'd be a great line with Fisher, Dvorak, and Grabner. And Dvorak and Grabner could play together on the penalty kill too. Dvorak's a penalty killing guy as well, so maybe there's chemistry there. I don't want to put Grabner in the top 6. I just feel like he's not suited there. He does score goals, but that's all he does. I'd like him to keep him on the third line and give that third line some bite to make to create some depth for the Coyotes. And then the fourth line, pretty obvious. Richardson centering the line with Cousins, and I'd put Krause on the wing, interchanging with Hinostroza. But Hinostroza might fight for that third line spot. That is true. I totally forgot about Hinostroza. So maybe, Dvorak, Grabner, Hinostroza. That seems good. And then have Richardson, Cousins, and then Fisher and Krause rotating in. I feel like Krause, I've said this in other videos, Krause and Fisher are very similar players. Similar style, power forwards, huge bodies, huge for their age. They grind it out. And so I'd put third line Dvorak, Hinostroza, Grabner, and then fourth line Richardson, Cousins, Fisher, and Krause competing for those wings. Hopefully Cousins has another offensive year. He scored 11 goals last year, so if he continues that pace, for a fourth line guy, I'm all for that. And then Krause needs to make the jump to the NHL. And then maybe there's a trade in mind for Chayka. This guy loves trades, like I said. Maybe either Fisher or Krause goes, but I like to see that competition for the fourth line. I don't want any spots to be a gimme for any of these guys. I want every position to be a competition, fight for their lives for these spots in the NHL. But I hope Krause and Fisher could be on this team at the same time. I really do. I hope none of those guys. But that's the way it is, man. It's a tough profession, and this team's got a lot of players, a lot of forward players. So that's my lineup for the forwards. For the D-man, it's easy. Keep it the same as last year. OEL, Demers. I feel OEL and Chalmerson didn't really work out. Maybe they'll try it again. But OEL, Demers, second line, Chychrun, Goligoski. I love Goligoski. He really improved that last year. The whole season, he was great. Demers had a rough go in the first half. He was giving up way too many odd man rushes, but he shortened that issue about around the halfway point, and not too many odd man rushes in the second half of that season last year. And then the fourth pairing would be Chalmerson and Connaughton, with the seventh D-man being Murphy or Labushkin or Osterley, recently acquired Osterley. So seventh D-man, I'm not too sure about. Probably be Osterley. give Murphy another year in the AHL with the Tucson Roadrunners. But yeah, I love Connaughton and Hjalmarsson. Connaughton's got offensive flair, so you have an offensive D-man in each pairing. Connaughton scored, 10 or 11 goals last year, and that's no cakewalk. And he's got a great wrist shot. So pair him with Hjalmarsson. Hjalmarsson's great. And yeah, that's the lineup. Really excited for this team. I mean, every day I think about how this team will look, and every day it changes. Who knows, next week, maybe next month, I might change my mind on these lines. Maybe Hinostroza moves up, but I don't know. It's exciting. It's exciting to hypothesize about what this team will look like. It's been so long since the lineup isn't a guarantee. I mean, every position's up in the air except for like Stepan and Keller being together. So yeah, those are my thoughts. If you disagree, comment. Obviously, I'm not an oracle. I'm just trying to create discussion and create different opinions. If you'd like Dvorak to turn into a winger, I'm all for it, but I don't think it'll happen. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support.